Smith is having to go through in that scenario, considering if at most you can say maybe
Man knows what a man needs.
Around sometimes and I hang out with other people that are my age and they're just kind of just selfie. I'm just like, dude, like, oh my God, like, can we talk about like the
We live in a world where most conversations stay on the surface. The weather, weekend plans, what someone watched last night. But there's a growing frustration among people who want to push past that noise and talk about things that actually matter. What's happening in global politics, why economies are shifting, and what the real forces shaping our lives look like behind the headlines. That frustration is real, and it leads a lot of people down rabbit holes online, places where serious discussion and wild speculation often exist side by side. One of those rabbit holes runs straight through Hollywood, specifically through one of its most scrutinized families, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, and their son Jaden. For years, social media has been flooded with commentary about this family, some of it grounded in public record, much of it built on rumor, selective interpretation, and the kind of storytelling that spreads fast because it feels like it could be true. Certain names keep appearing in these online conversations. Figures like Katt Williams and Jaguar Wright have made statements that circulated widely, with various claims attributed to them about the Smith family. It's worth being clear. Many of these allegations remain unverified and should be treated with appropriate skepticism. What adds fuel to this discussion are older clips, footage of Will Smith and Jaden Smith interacting in public settings. Moments that many viewers once read as straightforward father-son affection are now being re-examined through a completely different lens, largely shaped by the commentary that followed.
Their resilience, for me, it's remarkable.
With Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership that they've spoken on several times, and it, not involving romanticism.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me his blessing, and I totally gave myself to.
But let's look at what we actually know. Even though these theories continue to spread like wildfire across social media, they heavily rely on fan speculation and subjective interpretation rather than any verified evidence. For context, many pointing to this rift bring up reports from around 2013. Back then, rumors surfaced that a 14-year-old Jaden Smith was considering legal emancipation from Will and Jada, a rare court process that would have granted him full adulthood and the right to live entirely on his own.
Of my life, I devoted myself to it. I gave my full self to it. So much so to the point that.
And I'm not, look, I ain't in nobody's business, it's their thing. But when they were talking, well, he was sick and he was mentally sick and he was emotionally sick. Now,
Yeah, I mean, I've actually compared her, Jada Pinkett, to R. Kelly without the age part.
Whispers head on. Back then, they both laughed it off in front of the cameras, dismissing the headlines as nothing more than a blown out of proportion media misunderstanding. But years later, the mask slipped. In his raw, self-titled memoir, Will Smith looked back at that exact chapter and confessed to the heartbreaking truth. The emotional rift was real. He admitted that the pressure had fractured their bond, and Jaden genuinely wanted out, even though they managed to heal the damage before any lawyers got involved. Naturally, this wasn't the end of the story for the internet. Many commentators have attempted to connect those early fractures to Jaden's subsequent highly publicized battles with mental health and substance abuse. They argue that the cracks formed under the crushing weight of public childhood. Though it's important to remember, these are psychological theories from outsiders, not official medical diagnoses. Still, you can't talk about Jaden Smith's reality without looking at the bigger picture. He was essentially raised inside a fishbowl run by one of the most powerful dynasties in entertainment history. From the moment he could walk, his childhood was commercialized through major Hollywood blockbusters, chart-topping music drops, and a non-stop barrage of flashing paparazzi bulbs. It's an extreme, high-stress upbringing that 99% of people will never truly comprehend. And when you live life under that kind of relentless microscope, the public doesn't just watch you, they dissect you. Every single offhand comment, every heavy sigh, and every stiff piece of body language.
Really mad. But without the underage part, what's really the difference?
Let me tell you something. If you're sick, like he's physically ill.
Yeah.
He's emotionally, and then the damage you do. Like, this dude was talking about, right? So it isn't just you having an affair or whatever you do. It's that in your wake, because you felt bad.
Or casual remarks as definitive proof of deep-seated personal trauma, even when the family themselves completely deny it. In Jaden's case, his entire public identity has been viewed through this hyper-analytical lens. Both fans and critics constantly try to map his personal development onto major milestones in his career. Another massive talking point online is how the public reacts when celebrity kids choose an unconventional path or voice non-traditional philosophies. Jaden Smith, in particular, has always turned heads for his boundary-pushing fashion, avant-garde philosophies, and highly experimental creative projects. While his supporters view this as pure artistic expression, his critics use it as ammunition, claiming it's a sign of a fracturing emotional or psychological state. This massive divide shows exactly how a public figure can get trapped between two competing narratives. One side sees brilliant individuality, while the other sees total instability, depending entirely on the viewer's bias. And social media has supercharged these theories. TikToks, short-form clips, and out-of-context quotes are aggressively pushed by algorithms without a shred of background context, leading millions to draw conclusions that have nothing to do with what was actually meant. Once these viral theories get a foothold, they echo across platforms, morphing into a collective internet truth that completely smothers any grounded logical explanation. This cycle is incredibly common when it comes to a family as massive as the Smiths, where public curiosity is off the charts and verified facts are constantly blended with commentary, satire, and pure fiction. Even the movie After Earth has taken on a strange symbolic meaning in these discussions. On paper, it was just a sci-fi survival story about a father and son, but its brutal critical reception and box office failure became the ultimate lightning rod for people looking to dissect Will and Jaden's real-life partnership. Over the years, the film stopped being just a movie. It became a cultural landmark used to analyze career downfalls, toxic family dynamics, and the intense pressure of working in a high-stakes, multi-million-dollar industry. This constant layering of rumor has forced the public to view the Smith family's personal life and career as deeply intertwined, even when the reality is far more complicated and less dramatic than the internet claims. Ultimately, this obsession with Jaden's early career and family life highlights a major flaw in celebrity culture. When information is scarce, public curiosity will happily invent the missing pieces. In the absence of real answers, audiences build elaborate storylines, connecting random, unrelated dots to make a cohesive story, whether it's true or not. This is why the conversation around the Smiths is constantly mutating, blending actual interviews, retrospective confessions, and internet theories into one massive, ever-shifting cultural myth. For instance, Will Smith openly suggested that Jaden's teenage frustration was heavily tied to the massive professional failure of After Earth, which devastated both of them emotionally. Yet sectors of the internet refused to accept that answer, arguing that the movie wasn't the cause, but rather a symptom of much deeper hidden family turmoil. Over time, commentary from Hollywood outsiders and comedians, most notably Katt Williams in his explosive remarks about industry dynamics, has poured gasoline on the fire. These viral clips have supercharged the narrative around the Smiths, framing them as symbols of industry backlash and the dark side of Hollywood fame. The internet discourse frequently returns to After Earth and its devastating impact on Jaden's career trajectory. Commentators like Katt Williams, in widely shared interview clips, imply that the industry was actively pushing back against Jaden's rapid ascent, and that the movie's box office failure was a calculated turning point in how Hollywood viewed both father and son. In these viral spaces, the film's failure isn't just a bad day at the box office, it's framed as a catastrophic event that damaged the family's professional standing forever. While these claims are entirely speculative and unbacked by any concrete evidence, they effortlessly merge with broader internet conspiracies about behind-the-scenes gatekeepers, secret industry blacklists, and engineered career declines. To make things even more complex, the internet constantly connects these career struggles to the family's unconventional marriage dynamic, specifically the heavily publicized media storm involving August Alsina. Suddenly, completely separate events are stitched together in online forums. The discourse routinely weaponizes highly publicized interviews involving Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith, dragging their past marital struggles back into the spotlight. Most notably, during their infamous appearance on Red Table Talk, Jada candidly admitted to a temporary separation in her marriage, famously describing her relationship with August Alsina during that time as an entanglement. That raw, uncomfortable sit-down with Will became an instant cultural phenomenon, sparking a massive global debate about marital boundaries, transparency, and modern relationships. But over time, the internet took that interview and ran with it, far beyond its original context. Social media users began layering their own heavy judgments and comparisons onto the family, blending genuine emotional reactions with sweeping critiques of celebrity privilege and performative vulnerability. It created a toxic cocktail of fact and fiction that continues to be dissected to this day. This has directly fed into the ongoing online obsession with Jaden Smith's health, physical appearance, and unorthodox upbringing. At various points, his visibly thin frame and strict vegan lifestyle sparked immense concern and aggressive speculation across social media, with creators debating his well-being and life choices. Around the exact same time, the internet began hyper-focusing on older comments made by Will and Jada regarding their parenting style, specifically their radical emphasis on total openness, early independence, and giving their children complete autonomy over their lives. When Jaden speaks in interviews about his wellness journey, personal evolution, and alternative perspectives on mental health, it instantly fuels the fire, leading to wild misinterpretations online. Even Will Smith has looked back on their parenting style in interviews, openly admitting that their methods were highly unconventional and bound to spark public controversy. But the modern internet ecosystem doesn't care about nuance. It takes these fragmented interviews, red carpet appearances, and personal lifestyle choices and amplifies them into a massive, polarizing debate about toxic parenting and broken family dynamics, a narrative shaped far more by public perception than by actual reality. This blend of commentary and speculation reaches its peak when Jaden discusses his views on wellness and alternative medicine. When he opened up about exploring unconventional therapeutic methods, including the reflective use of psychedelics in a controlled setting, the internet instantly weaponized it, tying it back to the ongoing debate over his parents' hands-off raising style. These moments are immediately chopped up into viral TikToks and YouTube shorts, where his statements are reinterpreted to fit a broader, cynical narrative about celebrity privilege, Hollywood eccentricity, and the massive lifestyle disconnect between ultra-wealthy elites and everyday communities. As a result, what should be a personal conversation about mental health evolves into a massive internet circus driven by reaction channels, comedic breakdowns, and armchair psychologists. Because Jaden Smith grew up entirely under a microscope, even his most routine comments about his diet, health, or creative endeavors attract an overwhelming amount of scrutiny. Over time, these isolated remarks are completely stripped of their original context, rewritten and reassembled into elaborate conspiracy theories that tell us a lot about the audience's biases, but very little about the actual person. This is the defining feature of digital culture. If a clip is shared and repeated enough times, it transforms into an accepted narrative completely independent of facts. It also highlights a massive issue with how the public discusses celebrity mental health. Deeply complex issues like personal growth, intense psychological stress, and lifestyle experimentation are routinely oversimplified into surface-level, judgmental internet comments. In Jaden's case, his transparency about his unconventional wellness journey has triggered polar opposite reactions, ranging from genuine curiosity and support to intense skepticism and outright mockery. These clashing responses prove that high-profile figures often stop being viewed as real people. Instead, they become symbols for society's larger anxieties, even when their personal experiences are deeply individual and unique to them. We also have to acknowledge the role of the platforms themselves. Short-form content, highly edited clips, and engagement-driven algorithms are deliberately designed to prioritize emotionally charged, shocking interpretations over a full, nuanced interview. Audiences are systematically fed fragments of a story, designed to trigger an immediate, angry reaction rather than a thoughtful understanding. Once a narrative gains traction, it becomes self-sustaining, fed by a never-ending stream of commentary channels, reaction videos, and forums that simplify and exaggerate the events until the truth is entirely lost. Finally, the clash between celebrity culture and generational divides heavily shapes how Jaden Smith is perceived. Gen Z celebrities who reject traditional norms and embrace alternative lifestyles are always viewed through a double standard. On one side, they are praised as creative icons of individuality. On the other, they are heavily penalized for stepping outside of societal expectations. This tension creates two completely different realities existing at the exact same time, where two different audiences can watch the exact same clip and walk away with completely opposite stories. Ultimately, the endless fascination with Jaden Smith and his family proves exactly how modern media operates. It takes private, personal expression and weaponizes it into public entertainment, rewriting the narrative as it goes.